So, Backstage Brawl in WWE 2K20, and we have the big dog, Roman Reigns, and Rowan going at it. Now I wanted to see if there was anything new in this area, and you will notice that the actual setup and layout is pretty much the same. In fact, it's exactly the same as last year, albeit that the backstage area has been darkened up and it has received a bit of a paint job. So you will see different coloured walls and different coloured signage, but that's about it. But really, I think 2K just haven't made the most out of the backstage area, because you can do all the things you did last year and that's about it. This area could be so much better if there was more interactivity within it. As you see a couple of times already, superstars have hit, say, these storage units, but they just kind of bump into it and move on. That's about it. And you'll see in a minute, there you go. So Rowan just kind of bumps into it. He doesn't clatter into it. It doesn't look that great. But wouldn't it be awesome if you could drag your opponent into that item and then say you open it up and you shove your opponent inside there and close the lid, and then your opponent maybe bursts back out, something like that. It could even move into like a mini game where you're trying to escape, but you know, it needs more things like that, a little bit more crazy. And I do think with this backstage area, this is the sort of area where people want the wacky stuff, the crazy stuff, exciting stuff to happen. And I'm not entirely sure if 2K have really picked up on that message, because their focus have been going towards more the bump in the night stuff, which I quite like, but there's still areas of this game for the core wrestling section which need to be addressed and could be made much more fun. Because at the moment, Backstage Brawl is really no different than having an Extreme Rules match in the ring. You're picking up weapons, the same weapons, and using them. So as you see, once again, as we progress, you've got the red walls, so that's a bit more of a cosmetic change to this year's backstage area. But in terms of props and items, you have a trash can, a fire extinguisher, a ladder, and not much else. And that vending machine is just begging to be used. Smash your opponent's head into the vending machine. It makes all the cans dispense, and you can pick those cans up and crack them over your opponent's head as well. That's what should be happening. And we're now moving into the catering area, and in last year's game you could throw your opponent up onto those catering tables and all the items would actually dispense. But this year, I don't think I've got the footage, but I did throw my opponent there and everything just stayed static, didn't move. And although I'm grateful for a backstage area, there's just so much more that could be done to make it more exciting. So I did pick up as well on the audio changes, and there is one. It now sounds like you've got matches going on in the ring as your backstage brawl unfolds. You kind of hear a bump as a superstar hits the mat from time to time. I don't really like it. I kind of prefer what we had last year, which I think was the ventilation system. It just sounded better. This sounds muffled because I assume the match is meant to sound like it's coming through the concrete walls, but it just doesn't sound good. So yeah, not keen on the audio. But here's another great example of where a table just desperately needs to be interactive and broken. Then you can pick up the sewing machine, the mannequin, or the iron and stamp it on your opponent's head. But instead, because I can't interact with anything, I just end up going for a move. And I'm sorry to say, that was it.